Hi, I think we're live. So, I'm going to start talking. Welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Untitled. I can't count, so I can't tell you how many episodes this is for 2020, but I know we're into it. Third episode, apparently. A small voice told me. So, today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite topics as a Instagrammer and a whiskey lover. It's beginner whiskeys, because I love helping people with the beginnings of their whiskey journeys, because it's a part of the best part, because they get to try all the interesting stuff, and that's always fun. So we'll be talking about beginner whiskeys. We'll be talking about interesting beginner whiskeys to get people into whiskey, and we'll be talking about the end of Charles's marriage.
What?
Right here on the Whiskey Untitled.
All right. The fuck? That is weird. But let's just go into the intro. Yeah, I had to interject there because what are we talking about? And I'm a bit blue today, which is weird.
I don't even know when it's going live. There you go. So, okay. So, here's what's up. Apparently, Charles went to, go to work today. He put gel in his hair, took off his wedding ring, and never put his wedding ring back on.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what's going on there.
Yeah.
See? That's how you know. Something not good's happening in that household. Hi, Gregor. Hi, Scotch Woodry. Hi, Jam for All. Jam Dude, what's up? Shimon, hello. Shimon, I tagged you in a contest. I know how much you love them. Daniel, what's up?
I like contests.
Tolv, hello. You guys already know the topic for today is going to be beginner whiskeys. So there's going to be a couple of different aspects that we talk about them from. So if you want, at any point in time, when we say something like, hey, what's a good beginner whiskey that's, rye based, but has friendly flavors that people can enjoy, even at stay cast strength? And then you guys can throw out what you think
and
is
we'll
your
just say
favorite.
you shouldn't show that bottle because
Right.
we can't get it everywhere.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. All I could hear was jealousy.
Yeah, okay, whatever. In my head, I'm like, I just kind of want to go back. All right. Anyway.
No, we're gonna get you and Tolv a bottle. Don't worry.
Since this is a drinking show, my friend, what is in your glass today?
Contest too. In my glass today. Oh, I didn't bring the bottle. Apparently, I thought I was special because I'm a huge fan of Brooklyn Distilling and their wheated whiskey, and apparently I'm not too special because they sent the new Brooklyn 6-year single malt to every other Instagrammer out there, and I was like, "Oh, did they not send you one?" Because a lot of other people hit me up and were like, "Oh yeah, I got one too." I'm like, "I hate you. I hate all of you." But no, I'm glad because they're a good distillery putting out good product that more people should know about, but nobody ever talks about. So yeah. Plus, it's just one guy running the whole show. Brad is doing a great job.
Then I'm surprised that he sent that many bottles out because that gets a bit costly.
Yeah, no. But I did hook him up with Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, so they sold a couple of barrels to SMWSA. That's exciting.
Bottles there.
Back to the Old Forester Rye.
For me, it's going to be one of the bottles you select. Wonderback's one of those. Wally actually posted a picture today on American Single Malt. And
I did.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk a little bit about that as well, because I think for a 2020 lens,
Kevin,
American
yes, 77
Single Malt
Rye
is definitely going to be up in that category, I think, this year. So, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, just because of the tariffs, I think everybody's going to be doing whatever. But, yeah, like I said, not every website is charging tariff money, so if you guys need a website, just DM on the Instagram and we'll talk about it.
So, next video was did you get any new bottles this week? By any chance?
I did.
Ooh, you did. Look at that. And bam, there he goes. And boop, out of his wine cellar. Or whiskey cellar. Ooh, is that... No, it's not cognac. It's
whiskey. I opened it backwards. Don't judge me.
All right. What is that?
I don't know, man. So, this is such a good talk about... keeping good relationships with your local whiskey store. I got a phone call from my local whiskey store, a text message, and my local guy was like, "Hey, I got this bottle of 14-year MGP that's labeled under the name Remus. You need to come down here and buy it." So, the receipt.
So it is from.
I spent a little bit of coin on this.
So it is from them, right? So it is his MGP.
Yeah, it's MGP. And the bottle is pimp. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, no,
the bottle is very pimp.
Very
Art Deco.
Yeah, Art Deco, Empire-y.
Yeah.
Looks like Batman would have that in the back of his car or something. Huh, interesting.
But yeah. Distilled in MGP.
Have you tried it?
No, I haven't cracked it yet.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else already cracked it online, and I'm gonna try to get a sample out of them. So
Positive, negative.
they were actually really positive about it, which I was surprised about.
That's good. Well,
but for the price point, it better be. It was $190.
You gotta think about it. MGP do make some good stuff. So even though people
Yeah,
don't flack,
it's true.
they do make some good stuff. So
Yeah, no, like look at all of sticking Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery, like all of their stuff. Like, yeah, no, it's all delicious. The Bell Mead stuff. Sorry.
yeah, no, I'm so instead of me buying bottles for this month, I'm actually taking a trip next month to go over to Orange County to do an event. So
that's fun.
excited for that. In and Out, basically, it's just going not too In and Out, but oh man, some In and Out would be great.
Dude, In and Out's super good.
They have an event on March 30th, so I'm flying in on that Monday and then leaving on that Tuesday. So trying to reach out to anybody that's over there. So trying to reach out to some distilleries to see if I can do any sneak peeks and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
12. I think the bottle's limited. I
I've
think
never
it says
seen it
on the
before.
bottle like limited to 6,000 bottles. So I don't know how much it'll get around America at 6,000. Like it seems low. But yeah, hopefully you guys do see it. Yeah. And if you don't,
I don't think we
when I
will.
crack mine, you can have a sample. That's fine by me.
So the interesting part, since we are a controlled state, a lot of times it's up to the buyer. So sometimes we just don't get it at all.
That's super weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. Alrighty, so
super stoked. So I have a friend who's in Dubai, and I literally just got a text message from him. He's coming back from Afghanistan. He sent me a bunch of pictures earlier while I was at work of a bunch of like different bottles.
There, yeah.
Duty free in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no desire to chase down the Macallan concepts and collect them, but I kind of want to taste them.
We had it right there.
Yeah. So, anyways, my buddy, I'm gonna grab Concept 1 and Concept 2 because they have tons of them in Dubai, and there's an old Pulteney that I wanted to grab. So I'm gonna crack all of those open. We're gonna do it.
When you think about it, like when we went,
I'm just doing it to piss off the Macallan fanboys.
When we went to Scotland, we saw a bunch of those Game of Thrones things that I've never seen in shops before.
Oh, everywhere.
It was insane. Yeah.
Wally's still waiting on your number 6 sample. Oh.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys. All right. So, one, Shimon, the number 6 won't be open until 2021, so you'll be waiting a minute. Also, your sample will be very tiny, just like everybody else's sample will be tiny that day. It'll be the stingiest birthday bottle I've ever had. I'm going to buy a syringe. Everybody's getting 15 milliliters.
At least we're getting something.
I took the sample that I had stolen last February. Dang, it was already been a year since I stole it. And I poured my brother some tonight. My brother came over. So I wanted to get his reaction. So my brother started tasting it. And he was blown away. And that got me so stoked. Because I knew that I love it. And I knew that everybody at the tasting I was at loves it. And, you know, it's hard not to love free whiskey sometimes.
Oh, hell yeah.
But $3,200 kind of free whiskey. So, you know, so my brother tasted it. And my brother was like, dang. He's like, this. And this is what he said. He said, you know what this reminds me of? He's like, it's the cast strength if it grew up and mellowed out. And I was like, that's it. So I'm telling you, all those times where I said that the Macallan cast strength was a baby number 6, it's legit. My brother's palate's super good.
To you two. You later on, you try it with someone else and say,
no, his palate is super good.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying, but some other people might think it's different.
Maybe. But you'll see. It's got like so many of those notes in it.
They wouldn't be able to do the comparison.
So many of those notes in it.
But yeah.
Game of Thrones just went on mad discount. Of course it did, because they sold too many.
There's way too many.
They did a second release and everybody forgot about it.
Yeah, it's true. After, in my mind, they should have done it between the seasons. They shouldn't have done it after.
At the end?
Yeah. That was weird.
When nobody cared about the incest?
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about beginner's guide. So the reason why we did this is because we wanted to kind of break down, maybe even do this every year as long as Whiskey Untitled is going, and just kind of talk to how we think about it. And then Wally's got some edited.
Because new bottles come out, and new bottles make for good beginner stuff too.
Yeah.
Ooh, can I start us in the dirtiest of all categories? The most boring? Can I start us in the caramel, brown?
Bourbon. I was like,
vanilla?
Bourbon? All right, yeah. Okay.
That's right.
We'll start bourbon. Let's go. Let's do it.
Right here. The irony, of course, is that this is a 4-grain bourbon, and it actually tastes really good.
Yeah.
And has quite a bit of complexity to it. Plus, low barrel entry proof means that it's actually like even sweeter than normal.
Yeah.
But for bourbon, so if you guys have like a favorite beginner bourbon that you share with your friends,
yeah, let us down in the comments below.
Put it in chat. Let us know, because you're gonna be helping everybody who watches this video later, because we're trying to help everybody out. So, but yeah, this 4-grain. So it's not a boring bourbon. It is good for beginners because it's light. It's not super heavy on the palate. It's not annoyingly like hot. It's none of that stuff. Like
Make it
it's
46, Kevin.
47.5% alcohol, but it's still super. I know everybody hates this word, but super smooth, super delicious, and super friendly.
So you touched on a point where a lot of people, especially beginners, come in and their descriptors are very limited because they haven't really tried bourbon or they haven't tried a lot of spirits naked, right? So
Of course.
I don't have the problem with using the word smooth. But I see a lot of people in the forums and stuff are like,
oh, we'll lose their mind if you use the word smooth.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with smooth?
So for me,
I
I
don't
think with smooth, I think texture, right? Because you get some velvety stuff, you get some grainy stuff, especially like even like with wines and tannins and stuff like you get that mouthfeel of a smooth. I feel as though the beginners, when they think of a smooth, they think of it as a not burning, not a strong alcohol burn.
Correct, because a lot of beginners, that's what they get from whiskey. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Even at 40%, I mean, some people are still
get a
like,
burn, but then I go past that burn, right? And I try to go for the flavor. So there's always going to be a burn out there.
I don't even know if I get burned anymore.
So just if you're a beginner and stuff like that, and if you use the word descriptor smooth and someone complains about you, they're snobbish. And
so what Kevin said right there, that's the association that I don't understand that people do. Smooth equals lack of taste.
Oh,
because to me,
that's not even me either.
Pappy Van Winkle 23 is velvety smooth, but like there's no lack of taste. It is a vanilla bomb. Yeah. So like it's difficult for me to associate those two together because in my mind they don't associate. But again, that's why like sitting down with especially beginners, you have to really sit down to them and talk to them about what it is that they're tasting because it can be smooth, but there are other words that they're looking for that they're actually tasting.
Yeah, so I never. Think
Jam for all, you don't like Rabbit Hole?
There's always some taste to it. I don't think I've ever had a whiskey that's lack of taste. It may be a one note.
I've had a lot of bourbon, the one note bourbon,
one notes, but not
even some one note whiskey.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a good
no offense.
relatively new bourbon too. So
yeah,
I like Shimone's.
Super new. I think it tastes good.
Old Forester. I haven't had Old Granddad, but Wild Turkey's is pretty good. That's a bit hot.
Maker's 46 is all right. I think.
Good. Elijah Craig.
It's not as friendly a weeder as some other ones. Elijah Craig 12, not like barrel proof.
Yeah. For me, so sadly I don't have the bottle anymore. But it is a Four Roses. It's Four Roses small batch. This Four Roses small batch, I think it's a weeder. It's sweeter. It gets people in the door, and if they need to add water, you're not offended for giving it to them, and they can kind of ease into things. And that's kind of where I think of a bourbon right now. My bourbon palate moves towards a sweeter note, more of a weeder type bourbon or wheat forward bourbon. As we all know, 51% corn, and the next thing they use is wheat instead of like a rye or something like that. So
well, that's what's really nice about like Rabbit Hole is that they're balancing a bunch of stuff, and the barley adds something to it, and it gives it somewhere interesting to go. Yep. Kevin said, "Okay, so smooth equals smooth and lack of complexity." So
I want to use the word
again.
smooth,
I think it's important. That's why it's important that we take these words and separate them. So when I think of lack of complexity, one note is what I think of, and then the opposite would be complex or just like Caveman, Solus, Vino, Barrique, just wildly complex. So I put those two in the same piles. Yeah. Like it's difficult for like smooth. The opposite would be harsh. So I mean, there are some
instead of smooth, it would be like grainy, or because I'm thinking about
but harsh. Texture. I'm thinking of trash whiskeys.
Yeah, that's why.
That's what I think of.
Yeah. But yeah, guys.
All right. After bourbon, naturally.
So what do you want to go through? You want to go rye, or you want to?
Yeah, we'll do rye and then we'll do scotches for sure.
Let's move into American single and then we go to scotches. How about that?
So Elijah Craig barrel proof is not smooth because it's definitely pissed off. Oh my gosh, living in a cask for way too many years.
Go for it. So what's your rye, man? What would you?
Oh,
by the way,
so
sorry.
I know that you
just a level set. I personally think that when you should try whiskeys, should be at a bar and blind if you can. What do you think about that? Before we dive into it,
in terms of blind, I think that in the beginning you shouldn't do it blind. I think you should go with somebody who knows the notes of certain whiskeys.
Okay. So some mentor apprentice,
so that they can help you build some confidence about the flavors that you're tasting.
Okay.
Not because you won't taste something different than they do, because you absolutely could. Everybody's palate's different. But because it's really, really confidence inspiring when you give, like I love giving one-noted whiskeys. No offense, Bren, but like Bren Classic to beginners because they're like, oh, I taste bananas. And I'm like, yes, correct. That's exactly what's going on here. And they're like, oh, I taste bubblegum. I'm like, that's exactly it. That's it. There's only two things in that whiskey. Like it tastes like it smells. and that's
Yeah,
it.
for me it's blind because if you're a non-whiskey person, I get people all the time saying, "Oh, I want to try Macallan." I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, I heard it because it was this." Or I tried this
Oh, I don't
brand.
ever hear people go by name like
So
that.
I've
Usually when I
people,
take
yeah.
noobs, they're just like, I don't do whiskey.
Yeah, I get a lot of people like, "Oh, and it's usually a higher end brands because they've seen the commercials, they've heard
It's
of
all
it
right, Kevin.
before. They know the pricing and stuff like that. So that's why I just go blind right off the bat. The last tasting I did was just impromptu. I didn't even tell him what the whiskeys were. I just told him it's from a certain area, and the first thing the guy says, "I don't do whiskey because I don't like that smoke." I'm like, "Hey, this is totally different." You know what I mean? Like,
That's the problem. There's still this association with peat and whiskey,
whiskey.
but
Yeah.
we'll get to peat. We'll get to
All right,
peat.
cool. So let's go with
Rye is the
rye.
devil's grain. So here's the thing, Gregor. If
Excuse
you
me.
don't like rye, because I don't like rye, surprise, you
Do.
have to find really specific ryes that you do gravitate to. And so those ryes will tend to be sweeter. They'll tend to be more what tastes like bourbon forward, and they won't have that nasty dill or disgusting typical rye spices that you get in rye. And so like people like,
That
oh,
Wally
Midwinter's Night Dram,
doesn't
and I'm like, put that in the trash can.
Just
I
remember,
don't want your
Wally's
pickle
not a big
juice.
rye fan, so just
Correct. I don't want your pickle juice Midwinter's Night Dram. It tastes horrible to me. But what does taste good that's rye is Wilderness Trail. Low barrel entry proof. I almost grabbed a Michter's, but I think we've done Michter's and beginners before because they suffer the same thing. Low barrel entry proof press, really, really good rye mash bill equals really, really tasty flavors without being gross rye spice. Instead, you're getting a good sweetness and balance, which is I love balance.
Yeah, so in my mind, like
that's my problem with
if you think about rye, same as kind of rye bread, like a grassy note, like Wally mentioned, dill note. So if you're into that kind of thing, then a hard rye. For me, I don't get a lot from Pikesville. It's easier to find.
Pikesville's really sweet.
It's still cheap, but like you said, has a sweeter note. It's a very easy going.
No, that stuff right there is like syrup.
And you can get some of the dill notes, and if you want to travel that route, and then you can start moving into rye. So then you can find out like, hey, I like rye. Then you go into bigger brands that have rye, like maybe in High West or so on.
Absolutely, but even High West Rendezvous rye is actually really light. Yeah, no rye spice, very sweet.
But yeah, so what we're trying to tell you right now is kind of show you like, hey, if you like a certain type, let's say bourbon or a wheated bourbon, it allows you to dive into that and can kind of fall in love with it and then move on or even change over to a Scotch.
Absolutely.
Whiskey.
Yeah, it helps you in your adventure to get around. That's all beginner whiskeys are for, to help you get a little confidence and then navigate your way around. Tolv, you said the Old Forester is 20% malted barley. That reminds me of Barrel did a rye that was 51% rye and 49% malted barley, and it is the weirdest, most interesting rye that I've ever had to date. And I have that. The 01.
Yeah, it's 01.
That's actually really enjoyable. It's weird, but it's good.
I don't think it tells you what the mash bill is, though.
No, I found out the mash bill from a friend.
But
it's 51.49. Yeah. It's literally rye and malted barley. Yeah, Wilderness Trail rye. The only rye for you? Well, then if you like Wilderness Trail, you're going to like Michter's too. It's just they're hard to get it. Oh, and Kentucky Owl Rye Batch 1. I have that.
That's also a bit too rye for me. When I go to Kentucky.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't get a lot of the rye spice in that. I get a lot of sweetness.
I wasn't a big fan of it either, but hey.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, I've never tried Redemption Rye.
That is local to me, but I do not have it.
I've seen it on the shelf before. I just never tried it.
I think it's... Oh, wait, no. Is it Redemption near me? No, it's probably Templeton. Do you have any American single malt?
I've seen Templeton before. No, I didn't grab American single malts. I just did that for the post today.
Yeah, so for me, that's the third category in the American whiskey. Like Wally mentioned, there is no definition of American
whiskey. That's the Wild Wild West right now.
Which I think is a good thing at this point in time. I bet you eventually it's not going to be, but at this point of time, a lot of people are following the whiskey, as in like just general whiskey laws, where 40% and above, so on and so forth. But for me, Wonderback's a good one. Westland does another great one. And if you want more of like a traditional Westward, a lot of these are local to me. I feel as though the Oregon as a whole, or the Pacific Northwest, has a resurgence of American single malt. It's basically what we're going to go into next is Scotch. Instead of corn, they're going to use malted barley. And then a lot of the times they use, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, they use more of like brewer's yeast, brewer's type of barley, so more beer. Yeah. So it gets more flavorful. Chocolate malt's very prolific over here, so it's amazing. I know Wally loves that stuff, so I'm enjoying it a lot. And I'm hoping more and more states go into it. Texas is a big one. There, I would say more of a fast maturing type whiskey due to the heat.
Yeah. because of the temperature.
I feel as though that more on the East Coast, they're doing very traditional style with a flair. I think the Brooklyn Distillery, you're doing stuff like that. Those guys are just changing the way that they're trying to do it.
It's a totally different style over here, yeah.
Which is great because different origins, you know.
Bought this, dude. I mean, is this just straight? This is just bourbon. So they do make like a single malt. Don't care for the Garrison Brothers. I know they just reposted my picture on their page today too. I feel horrible, but like this does not taste like $150. But you know what does? That comes from Texas, Balcones, and I haven't grabbed it, but like Balcones, their single malt and their Bruggera, which is their sherry cask finished single malt.
The white corn.
Oh, the baby blue. Baby blue is funky.
Corn,
Baby blue is funky, but it's good. Kevin turned me on to that one.
Gregor, I've been battling with Pete for the last 3 years now. So
I've been battling with Pete for 5 years.
I haven't conceded.
I've been battling with Pete for 5 years. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I'll try any whiskey, but Pete is not for me. Period. Like I know it. It's just there are some forms of peat, like different kinds of peat, like Orkney peat that's more floral that I can drink. But let's just we'll just do the deep end. Let's just go straight. Yeah, we'll go right into Isla.
Okay, we'll go Isla. All right.
Let's go right into Scotch. So because this is the problem with most people is they think that all peat is or that all Scotch whiskey is peated, but it's such a lie.
So let's break it down, right? So there's an island called Isla, where a lot of the peat bog
spelled
happens. Yep. So that gives off so they use it in the peat in the malting process where they burn the peat bog, basically the earth, and then then infuses with the malt, and then that smoke flavor goes into the whiskey, right? There has been, like, for me anyway, with meeting people, especially beginners, that's what they associate with Scotch. They go straight into an iodine, briny type C peat.
Abandoned hospital.
And I feel as though that's one because a lot of people didn't know what Scotch was, and that's what they reached out for, what their forefathers reached out for. Or I feel
because the loudest people are peat lovers.
Yeah, and it's like, especially in the Instagram world, you hear a lot. Like it's like, what, 80% of them are peat heads?
Absolutely.
Even though, like, you see the sherry lovers just chilling out there, they're just relaxing, while the peat heads are like, I need more peat, right? So
space hiders, we got a lot more to choose from.
I know. So since I think I know what your bottle is, let me go heavy first. So Ardbeg and Laphroaig are the two big dogs when it comes to peat. This is the traditional Isla. Briny.
Which Ardbeg is that?
This is a 10-year-old. So this is just a classic 10-year-old.
So the first time, if you guys ever try the 10 and you're a beginner, at first for about 0.4 seconds, you're like, oh, this is kind of sweet, and then you want to vomit
for the rest of the time that it's tries to teach you or kind of help you out. Make sure they always put the peated one last because it will kill your palate. That's just a little pro tip.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
But if they say, oh, try peat first, like, hey, let me try the other whiskeys first, and then I'll try the peat after. You will trust us. You'll be very thankful.
So Scotch Votary, I've never heard of New Holland single malt. Wait, they make the weird don't they make like a Milkman something? They did one like in a milk stout.
New Holland.
I just tried that recently and it was all right. I think it's New Holland. Type in New Holland Milkman or something. Milk stout. Oh, was it? It was milk stout.
That's a beer.
Yeah, I did try that. I tried that recently.
Is that?
Yeah. So no, but there's a single malt that they finish in that. Sorry, we should have checked whiskey after that, or single malt. Yeah. Because they finish a whiskey in that, and it's okay. It didn't blow my mind, and the guy let me try some because he had a bottle open, which saved me like $100 and some odd. I think $160 because I was gonna buy 2 bottles of it. But yeah, that's whatever. So yeah, the New Holland one. I'm surprised that you heard of that. What do you think of Talisker? Talisker is I actually like Talisker, but I like the taste of the ocean. So I think that's why I like Bunnahabhain so much.
Okay.
Even though that's not all peated, but like the taste of the ocean just tastes good. Bruggera, the sherry cask is absolutely bonkers. Peated is good in the winter, so I like peated when it rains for some reason, and not all peated. Just I think
like in the cool. So like for me, you haven't talked about your bottle. Let's talk about your bottle, man.
Exactly. So I drink this when it rains.
Lagavulin.
So this is like my go-to.
There are 3 bottle, but definitely
there are three Lagavulin bottles that I like rotate when it's raining outside, just for whatever reason. Like it doesn't like the peat doesn't hit me as bad as it usually does.
So just for everyone, just for context, if you guys don't know us, Wally and I are not big peat lovers, so we kind of tend towards a lighter peat. If you do have a flight, if you have a flight of whiskeys and the peat, the iodine, the smokiness is your palate,
Band-Aids, rubber bands, tar.
then it's Ardbeg,
Squid ink.
Lefroy, those kind of guys. Those, and I bet you if you reach out to a Pete head, they will be more than happy to give you the peatiest thing ever, like an Octomore or something like that.
Octomore, absolutely. Octomore 8.3. Done. 100, 300 and friggin' 10
Even though
BPM.
I could do that way more than an Ardbeg 10 or a Lefroy. I don't know why.
Because it's got more balance in it than everything else does,
money,
even
right?
though it's heavily beaded.
Yeah. For me, like, so for you, Lagavulin, for me, Oban's probably one of them. A different lighter peat.
So Oban is more smoke. That's why I didn't include that in here, because Oban is much more smoke and salinity than peat.
And then to move on, so we're going to a peat adjacent. So Wally and I actually last year went to Orkney, which they also have their own peat, which is more of a heathered peat, which is like a small little bush. And I went with the 12-year-old. It's easy to find. I think it's sub 50. Most bars have them on the shelf. So
I think so.
And then you have the Dark Origin, which is, I think it's like a sherry one, right?
Correct. First of all, sherry cast. So if you're a beginner and you're looking to tone down the peat, because say you like a little peat, but you don't like a lot of peat, two things you can do to tone down the peat. One, make a lot of money, because once it gets to about, I've noticed like right around 25 years and then older,
I think it's a 27-year-old.
The peat is still, I mean, I've had 32 Lefroy. So like as long as the nose will still be strong of peat, and the actual phenol compounds will be the same number as when it was created, but the potency of the peat will be way, way down, and it'll be super enjoyable. Or, all right, so either have a lot of money so you can afford the old stuff, or get something that was finished in sherry casks. Sherry is so sweet. It does a good job of balancing out the nastiness of peat. It's kind of magical.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we both said this before. It's age and a finish always kind of almost lowers down the peat. For me,
I drink this when it
I'm
rains.
glad I have this back here, but Lefroy PX cast, it gives a great balance. It's one of my favorites. I was very hesitant, especially as I think it's like a 1 liter bottle because it's only just travel exclusive,
travel retail.
So, but if you can find that and you do like a bit of sweetness with your peat, it's definitely something to bring out.
Caulila 15 unpeated, I don't have. Caulila 17 unpeated, I have, and it's unpeated style. It's still peated. It says unpeated style, but like you can tell they did not clean out anything that they distilled it in, because like it very heavily tastes of peat.
And then I guess
Jamfral, Brook-Laddie 10 peated. Brook-Laddie 10 peated. Are you talking about the PC or heavily peated? The heavily peated, for some reason, I have no problem drinking, but the PC 10, like, not a fan.
It's a bourbon cast HP. That's not single barrel.
HP full, the full volume. Full volume's all bourbon cast. That's why you get all the pineapple notes.
Vanilla.
Full volume is great if you can find it for sure. I still see it.
Sorry, I thought it was like full volume space bourbon cast.
Yeah, Jamfral, the heavily peated. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is about Brook-Laddie specifically, but their regular Laddie love, their heavily peated is not that heavily peated. Their Rockside, Isla, all those special editions they do for the farms, all those are good. Like everything they do is good except for the Octomore.
Well, see, and the thing is, like, I tried Octomores, and it didn't blow me away with the peat, which is awesome.
They weren't absolutely horrible.
Black Arts was still good too. Like, did you enjoy the Black Arts?
Yes. The Black Art that's all wine cask. It tastes like Jolly Ranchers.
That's great.
Like the 5.1, I'm glad I never spent $365 on it, because like it just tastes like Jolly Ranchers.
Was it a green?
It's good.
Apple Jolly Rancher on that one, or?
Yeah, it's super sweet.
All right. Anyway, all right. So we're going to our favorite part. So we
everything hot beated.
Wally's more of a sherry. I'm more of a port, but it's definitely that wine-ish category, I guess you could say. So,
just the stuff that helps beginners.
Yeah. So, what's your one out there? What do you got?
So, absolute quintessential beginner jam. I know you guys already know that I'm a so I don't need to do that, but we already know. And I swear in these new bottles, the new 12, I wish. I swear the new bottles taste more sherry than the old bottles. And I don't know why that is. But like, as you can see from how much I've had of it. You think so? No, because I tasted this blind and I thought it was Balvenie 12 double wood with more sherry.
Well, maybe they're sharing more casks.
No joke.
Maybe they're
joke. I tasted it completely blind. And I was like, is this double wood? Because I love how much sherry is in the double wood, and I'm like,
so Scotland 2021. We're gonna debunk this myth. There you go. All right. For me, it's sadly a bottle that's rising in price now because of the fact that everyone's using it as a poor man's Macallan. Glendronach, 12-year-old. It used to be I think it used to be under 50.
It's not now.
Yeah, and it's growing.
It used to be good for beginners because it was a good way to teach you what sherry tasted like.
Yeah.
And now it's just so overhyped that it's just like...
I don't think it's overhyped. I think it's the fact that people know that it's a good whiskey and that they're going to buy it out.
It's Macallan number 2.
Yeah, I don't think it's overhyped because I don't see Glendronach blasted everywhere.
There are other ways to taste sherried whiskeys without spending a lot of money.
And I still, even though that you've given me a really good Glenfarclas,
there are other ways.
I would avoid the 10-year-old by all means.
Oh, the 10, yeah. But like everything from the 12 plus, up is delicious. Yeah, 12, the 15, the 17, the 20. Do
you have any other bottles left?
21.
I know we're hitting
25.
time, but have you?
I do. Yes, I have bottles.
Okay,
I have
quick. 38. Holy crap! Buy one, dude. $38 for this.
Dang, $38. Go buy them all.
Holy crap!
So we talked about peated whiskeys. We talked about sherried whiskeys. We talked about lightly peated whiskeys. And then the last type of whiskey that we don't really talk about in Scotland, that is what most of them are, is just ex-bourbon whiskeys.
Oh, ex-bourbon.
No, ex-bourbon.
So what's the price point? Because I still haven't tried that yet. I've been asking them.
A Hondo. And I can't find any more.
That's hard.
Like I went to Total Wine and couldn't find. I'm losing my mind.
They're trying to get some shipments.
My last bottle.
You didn't hear it from
my last bottle.
They're trying to get more shipments in.
Oh, are they good? Good. Because it's so freaking good.
But yeah, so and then if you guys have noticed, we didn't talk about Irish. We didn't talk about Japanese, Taiwanese whiskeys, and otherworldly whiskeys.
We didn't talk about Irish because explaining to people triple distilled. Like if you want to talk about using the word smooth.
So overall,
smooth to me is triple distilled.
When people think of whiskey, it's usually a bourbon or rye. It's a Scotch. That's mostly what people think about. We're kind of dumb it down. Whiskeys nowadays from Japan are either overly priced or the quality is just not there. It's one of the two, right? You got Irish whiskey, like you said, triple distilled. Then you get into like different pots, and then it just gets confusing. So we just kind of avoid that.
So it's just easy to stick to the Scotches and to the American whiskeys.
And then, like we mentioned before, best advice: try it at a bar. I understand it's pricey. I know, like, oh, why are you charging me $10 when I can buy a bottle for $50? It'll basically save you your palate if you don't like a peat and you buy a peated bottle. You basically save $40-$50.
Bingo! You saved $100.
Right? It's one thing that I wish I didn't have. I wish I didn't have this wall behind me because I could have pinpointed which whiskeys I liked and which ones I didn't. And then reaching out to people, reaching out to friends. Some of them have most whiskey enthusiasts want to share their passion. They want to be able to help you, guide you through. And like Wally said before, when someone gets a flavor that you have in your mind, it is one of the best feelings in the world when someone says, I think I taste pineapples, and you're like, oh my God, that's what I was thinking. Or
same.
You know what I mean? Like, or sweetness and that kind of stuff. It's one of the best feelings, especially when you can guide and handhold somebody through this experience. So I think that's one of the best parts about even just trying whiskeys. Even if you don't like it, you be able to help people out and so on.
For sure. I mean, that's all the fun. Dramfral is absolutely correct. Triple distilled is halfway to vodka, which is just cleaning alcohol.
Ah, man, but I'm really enjoying my Irish whiskeys, and thanks for pooping on my parade, man.
It's not that. So there are some Irish whiskeys that do carry complexity. Don't get me wrong. I don't. Some.
But the thing is, like, I don't go to complexity. I don't go to Ireland for complexity, though. That's the thing.
And that's the thing. So most people go to Ireland for Guinness or for for other Irish whiskey brand so they can just
tax breaks,
drink and get drunk. Yeah, the double Irish. You talk about that double Irish tax break like Apple did back in the day. It's how they have like $50 some odd billion over there. Yeah. Oh, Auchentoshan. So Auchentoshan does triple distill, but they do it more in a Scottish way, and I think they really do keep some of the flavors. But yeah, that's a knock against them for sure. But then everybody loves Mortlock, the Beast of Dufftown, right? They do their 2.81 distilled process. Guys, so
keep asking questions. We'll go for another couple of minutes. But Gregor, great question.
Oh, I didn't even know we were over time. Sorry.
For me, what surprised me positively about newbies is the fact that women, as a generalization.
Oh, with no training, women have better palates.
Way better palates, and I thought that was
with no training. I
thought it was a bit of like a wives' tale kind of thing because everyone says that women have better senses than men and stuff like that. I understand, but the notes that they can pick up, especially on like blind tastings. My mind has been blown. Like
their noses work really well.
And I've been trying these whiskeys for so long. It blows my mind. And then the random stuff that when someone goes, I give them a sherry whiskey that I enjoy, and they're like, I don't like this, and then I give them a freaking Ardbeg or a Lafroig, and they're like, this is what I want. I'm like,
oh, that's the worst.
I'm like, I didn't even see that coming. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I literally sat down. I sat down with two friends and I agree. I took them to Jack Rose twice. The first time I took them to Jack Rose, 5 different pours. Yeah. Didn't like any of them. Second time I took them to Jack Rose, 5 more pours. Didn't like any of them. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, could I get an Ardbeg 10?
Yeah.
So they brought over the pour. They loved it. And I was like, oh my God, no.
And I've noticed a lot more women like the peat than men when I've gone to some tastings. It's really interesting.
Did you say peat?
Peat, yeah, the peat.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said peen. And I was like, well, that seems accurate.
Oh, no. I use my wife to full notes and I can't.
Yeah, that's women's noses.
It's amazing.
It's like talk to a pregnant woman. She said she could smell everything from everywhere. That's crazy.
But yeah, it's amazing how people pick up on things. I hate to kind of guide people through things, but you can tell when a newbie is kind of like nervous about stuff. I'm just like, say whatever you want. Just say
it's good to,
safe space.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to guide them like that because they need to know, like, look, your palate is different. Everybody's palate's different. You're going to taste what you taste. If you taste something weird, say it. It's fine. Somebody else probably tastes it.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting.
Ugh.
Or there is some things that I do. I tee up one-note wonders, like basic one-note whiskeys. And I just like, hey, what do you taste? And like, oh, honey. I'm like, all right, there you go. So keep that in your mind. And then I go for a complex one where like, here's honey and this. So I taste the honey. I taste what's next. And it's just a great way because after the tasting event, they come with a whole new outlook on whiskeys and how different flavors. Because everyone's just like, oh, it tastes like alcohol. It tastes like burning. So
no, and then they feel more confident too. They're like, okay, well, I can taste whiskeys, and now I know that like it can taste like anything, and then I just have to find what it is that I'm trying to taste. Like that's really important. Then you're building their confidence when you help them with those one-noted whiskeys, because then they're like, oh, this tastes like this. You're like, that's right, that's exactly what it tastes like, and that helps them.
I'm gonna do a photo, man. Sorry.
Yeah, training your palate is definitely that's a whole different topic, and you definitely need to try like all kinds of stuff. That's an entirely different realm. I don't even know what to. I might as well. If we're gonna go sweet, go hard.
Alright. Before I drop something.
We have delicious cherry tree fruit.
Really appreciate it. Appreciate
and
your
on
support.
the other hand,
Thank you to all
have
the
an
Patreon
apple pie.
supporters.
Lemon zest.
For $1 to $5 or even more, it definitely helps us out. It allows us to go on trips, travels, buy some whiskeys, and keep my lights on.
We forgot to ask what everybody else is drinking tonight. Ooh, Stag Jr. So Stag Jr. is one of the. Sorry. Stag
Wow,
Jr.
you
I
guys
taste
can't even hear me
cherries,
because I was all quiet.
like
but yeah,
legit cherry.
I had to unmute myself. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for all the help and support. Again, you guys can reach us on Patreon. Instagram is the best way if you guys want to message us. We're more than happy to answer any questions after the fact. Thank you again for all our supporters. And on this show, Wally closes us out by saying...
Ooh, that Fiddick 18 though.
By the way,
deuces.
Press the subscribe button. I'm going to put it right there. Boop.
Are you really going to put it there?
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Or you just...
I've been doing that. I've been actually doing it. See, he doesn't watch it after the fact, man. Deuces.
I do...